Today, I want to tell you about a reselling gift that I use all the time. The gift is called delisting and relisting, and I truly feel like delisting and relisting is a gift to your reselling business. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 benefits of this gift and 6 ways that you can really utilize this, like some strategies of how you can incorporate this delisting and relisting gift into your reselling business to make your life easier, to save time, to save money, and to keep your business going to make even more money. So let's go ahead and dive into all of these tips I have for you today. Thank you to Vendu for sponsoring today's video. Since we're talking about how delisting, relisting is a gift to your business, it makes sense to share that I would never be successful with this if it weren't for Vendu's delist and relist feature and the bulk delist and relist feature. I love how fast it is to relist with Vendu. But the 2 features I'm loving right now are the auto sales detection and the Vendu app. Auto sales detection is a game changer because it will automatically delist from all other platforms when an item sells on Poshmark. That's so awesome. And the Vendu app lets me list on the go so I can get listings up in the school car line or even when I'm on a road trip. Use the link below to get 30% off your first paid month of Vendu. I have 3 main benefits of why you would want to be relisting and delisting. And if you don't know what this means, I guess I should say what it is first. So delisting and relisting, relisting and delisting, whatever you call it, is basically the idea that you want a fresh listing up. You want to refresh a stale listing on Poshmark. And so you take the item that's currently listed, you delist it or you delete it, and you have another one go up that's exactly the same. And instead of deleting it and then putting it up manually brand new, what you're doing is making a copy of it. So Poshmark allows you to make a copy of a listing, but it's manual. It takes a lot of time and adds this like copy word on there. And it's just kind of like a pain in the neck. And it's not my favorite way to do it. My favorite way to do it is with Vendu. It's super fast and easy. And to delist and relist an item is very fast because you're just taking it down and putting it up again with simple clicks. And so it's just a lot easier than doing it on Poshmark on your own. So that's kind of what it is. It's taking a listing down, putting it back up again, the same listing, so that you refresh it in Poshmark and it comes up like a new listing. And so the 3 benefits of it is 1, you get an increased sell-through rate. So in some of my past videos, I talked about sell-through rate as being important because it's how many items you sell per day out of how many you have listed or how many you listed. So if I list 10 items today and I sell 5, I have a 50% sell-through rate. That's the way I calculate it. I just keep it pretty simple. If I list 10 today and I sell 3 today, then that's a 30% sell-through rate. If I list 10 and I sell 1, it's a 10% sell-through rate. And I'm usually always about a 50% sell-through rate. Every once in a while it goes down a little bit, but for the most part, 50% is kind of what I can count on. And so if you're not at that rate, which I think is a pretty good rate, then you want to do things to increase your sell-through rate. Because if you keep listing and growing your business and you never increase your sell-through rate, you're probably going to run out of space, or you're just going to, not be selling the things that you have, and you're always constantly adding more, which is good. But you do need to sell the things you've already spent money on and you've already spent time photographing, listing, sourcing, all of that. So it increases your sell-through rate, which gets rid of the items that you have and sells them. That's a good thing. Next benefit of delisting and relisting is shrinking the inventory that you have, especially if you have a space issue. So I don't store my items at home. I pay for a storage unit and I have a certain capacity at that storage unit. So if I kept growing and growing and growing, I would run out of room at that storage unit. If you live in an apartment or if you only have a small room where you take photos and house all of your inventory, if you keep listing, at some point you are going to run out of room. And so at that point, people say, okay, like I need to start clearancing out stale inventory. I need to drop prices. I need to do things. I don't believe that you should fire sale your items or wait till they're stale. I feel like you should constantly be doing many sales generating activities to have a high level of sales or a high sell-through rate all the time. And that's kind of the practices that I do. The other benefit of delisting and relisting, and why I think it's a gift to your reselling business, is that it gives you listing activity. So you can either use it to boost your listing activity on top of what you're already doing with new listings, or you can use it in place of new listings to give you listing activity. So I'll give you an example. If I'm listing 10 per day new items, and then I also list 10 per day of relist, old items that I'm delisting and relisting, I look like to Poshmark that I have 20 new items going up per day, but really I have 10 old being relisted and 10 new going up. So that's giving me a boost in the listing activity department. Now, if I want to just relist and have that be my listing activity, I'm just going to not list any new items, and I'm going to only delist and relist 10 items from my closet every day, and it looks to Poshmark like I'm listing 10 items per day. And that has a plus because you're not spending any more money, you're not sourcing any new items, and you're not devoting the time to all of that. So when you're relisting and delisting, and it's really delisting and relisting, when you do that, you're saving a ton of time and money, but still getting the benefits of the listing activity according to Poshmark and the algorithm and the reseller gods. So those are the three benefits. It's that you can sell more of what you have, you can shrink your inventory so that you can stay within your space constraints, and you get a boost or substitute listing activity. So that's good, right? This is all a good thing. Now, as far as ways to incorporate this, these are some of the things that I do or have done. I don't think all of these would apply to every single person, so you kind of pick and choose of these strategies what would work well for you. So the boosting of listing activity is probably the best benefit that you can get. You list 10 a day of new items, and then you also relist 10 a day of old items, and you refresh them. And so that's going to give you 20 in the eyes of Poshmark, but you're only listing 10 new and doing that time amount for it. And then you're relisting 10, getting that sell-through rate going, but you're still getting that boost in activity. So you're getting a few benefits from that. And you can accommodate that to whatever you do in your business. So if you don't list 10 per day and you list 2 per day, you could relist 2 per day and do 2 and 2. Or you could list 2 per day, new, and then relist 10 per day. And now you're at 12. So you can find the right number combination that works for you. If you're newer and you don't have a big closet, it wouldn't make sense to relist 10 per day because you're just getting started, you have less items, and they probably haven't been listed long enough for you to do that. So I wouldn't recommend relisting until you have items kind of up for maybe about 3 months or so, because you want to give a chance for all of your other sales generating activities to work. And if you relist them too soon, you're going to clear out all the likes and you're not going to give them the chance to sell with other tools. And if you don't know what I mean, I have video after video after video here on this channel all about all the sales generating activities that I do, like my shoppers, offer to likers, so many things. So check out those videos before you implement a relisting strategy that would be counterbalancing what you're doing with the other things. So the next way that you can incorporate this, which I have done, is a no sourcing month. I've posted on Instagram in the past about how every so often I like to implement a no sourcing month, not because I have a crazy death pile, because I never really keep that, and I don't call it that, I call it unlisted inventory, but I only keep a small batch of things, nearby to list from. So for me, it's not about that. It's more about selling off what I have, concentrating down, focusing on the inventory I have, not spending any money in that month. So I'm able to squeak out a little bit of extra profit, which is always nice. Sometimes I do that to save. If I know I'm going to buy a pallet, I like to save that money in advance. And so I will do a no sourcing month, keep that profit that I wouldn't have spent sourcing and put it towards the pallet in the following month, let's say. So if you do a no sourcing month, that means you don't have any new inventory. So all you need to do to have listing activity is delist, relist. And you can choose based on the size of your inventory how many you want to do. and how old your inventory is. So again, if your inventory's only been listed 3 or 6 months, you don't want to do too much. But if you have stuff that you know has been sitting there for 2 years, you can delist and relist all of that stuff because you want to keep it fresh and you want to get that listing activity even though you're not putting any new listings up. The next one is a cash flow issue. So I kind of alluded to this. If you are newer or just maybe overspent or are having trouble managing your cash flow in your business where you're sourcing, but you're not selling, and so you're spending more than you're bringing in, you have a cash flow issue. And so one way to remedy that is to implement the no sourcing month, to stop the cash flow issue, stop putting cash out on new inventory, and focus on getting sales in from the inventory you already have and have already spent time and money on. So a no sourcing month can be implemented for many reasons, one of which it can be the cash flow issue. Next is flex batching, which is probably a term I made up. I don't think I've heard it anywhere. I've heard about batching, and batching is when you take all your photos together and then you list them all together and you kind of do things in batches. I do flex batching in my business. I have a whole video on it. And really, it's designing my business to my life. So November and December, I don't really do any work. Over the summer, I don't really do any work. My son is in, elementary school, so I work when he's in school. So that means that my business still needs to generate money all year long, but I do the work during school time months, I don't know. So from August, we're in Florida, so we start in August. So from August to October, I work a lot. And then November, December, I barely do anything. But I still make sales. I still make pretty normal sales. Might go down a little bit, but not too much. Same thing over the summer. I'll work, January through May, and then I'll take June, July, August pretty much off to spend that time with my son, but I'm still making sales. Pretty much the same sales I make, when I am working, because that work I'm doing over here helps me over there. And so the long and short of it is that during the summer and during the holidays when I'm not working, I'm not putting in new listings, I'm not sourcing, I'm not doing new listings, I'm not doing any of that. But what I am doing is delisting and relisting from the inventory I have a certain amount every single day so that my business and Poshmark still sees that new listing activity even though it's not. And so I have my virtual assistant do that for me so that I really don't have to do anything. But if you don't have a virtual assistant, you could still work a whole lot less by, let's say, over the holidays or over the summer or whenever it works in your life, to just take 10 minutes with Vendoo and delist and relist 10 items, which it doesn't even take 10 minutes, but let's say it took you 10 minutes to figure out what items you wanted to delist and relist, because it would take a minute. You can do that very, very easily with very minimal time, and it would still keep your business going. So flex batching is another way that I implement it. And then sometimes people just, you get burnt out and you need a little bit of freedom. And whether it's you're actually going out of town or you just need to take a little time off, or maybe you have a surgery coming up, or maybe you need to care for someone, or whatever your situation might be, where, if you're in school and you have finals coming up or something, whatever your unique situation is, sometimes you just need a little bit of freedom from the daily grind of listing. And so you can very easily get that by delisting and relisting. So if you normally list 10 a day new, and then you go from that to just delisting and relisting 10, you saved ridiculous amounts of time by doing new listings to going to relisting, and the money because you didn't have to source those new items. So if you need to save time, if you need to save money, you just need freedom from the grind of photos and sourcing and all of those things. You get the freedom by just saying, this week, I'm just going to relist 10 a day. I'm not going to do any photos. I'm not going to do any sourcing. I'm not going to do new listings. I'm just going to hop on Vendoo for 5 minutes and jam those out real quick. It's awesome. It's very freeing to have those breaks from time to time. And then, again, just press for time. On a day-to-day basis, if you just didn't get it done. Like you had a migraine that day, the kids had activities, or you were going long on your sourcing trip and you didn't get to list anything that day. Like whatever your unique situation is on a daily unique situation, you could be like, oh, today I can't list, I'm just going to relist 10. And at least something happened instead of nothing happening because you didn't get to do the full listing process that you normally do. Like everybody works different. So some people source, photograph, and list all in the same day. Some people batch do it on days of the week. Some people, you have a full-time job and the lighting is only good because you don't have ring lights, and so you can only do certain things at certain times. But if you just have a day where you can't list or you can't do the whatever thing, you know that with Vendoo, you can easily in seconds delist and relist however many items you want super fast. And just having that in your back pocket is a way to give you still control and agency within your business so that you can still keep it running even if life got in the way on that particular day. And that's what I kind of really love about it, is that if everything goes wacko, I know I can just delist and relist 10 items with Vendoo in seconds and my business is still operating. And so those are all of the, benefits and then tactics and strategies about relisting and why it is a gift. Because however you want to fit this in, and I change it from time to time. Sometimes it's more about a no sourcing month. Sometimes it's more about flex batching. Some days it's, baseball practice ran long, and so I'm just gonna, jam out a few relists. So you can incorporate all of these however you want. But I do think that it is a gift to your business. It allows it to keep going when things get crazy for you or when you purposefully design it that way. And so I hope that you take this gift of delisting and relisting and use it in your business to make more sales, and that you also use Vendoo to help you do it super fast. Thank you again to Vendoo for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to use the link below to get started with 5 free listings per month to try it out and get 30% off your first paid month of Vendoo.